I don't know if you know this, chat, but there's someone who we feature prominently in the opening of our stream, Mellissa Carone, and she was called Trump's star witness, you know, for the voter fraud accusations. Let's have a little bit of a delicious taste of pure old copium. Delicious copium. Delicious copium. All right. Well, Dominion, which is the Dominion. Okay, hold on. We'll give you a second here. We'll start again and get a real second. Okay. Okay, we added a stream marker. I'm trying to change my shit, chat. Delicious MAGA copium. Okay, you ready? So, Mellissa Carone, she was the one who went in front of the thing and she was like visibly inebriated and claimed that there was a bunch of voter fraud going on and blah, 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 blah. And she's got her 15... I spelled delicious wrong? Oh my god, you're right, I did. Jesus Christ. I typoed delicious. Fucking... There you go. I forgot an I. Thank you. Anyway. Okay, so Mellissa Carone. She has been featured prominently on this stream as part of our opening music, where she was visibly inebriated and acting like a lunatic. Like, that's, I'm not trying to be ableist here, but she ranted and raved about how all the vote counting was totally fraudulent, and she was some big Dominion insider, you know, hired for her, you know, IT knowledge, and she witnessed all of these illegal activities and counting the votes. And so Dominion, which is one of the manufacturers of voting machines that the Republicans have latched onto as being part of a Hugo Chavez, George Soros conspiracy, literally just throwing in every word that is a trigger word for conservatives. Calm like a Tom. Thank you, sir. I'm going to turn down these alerts a little bit. And everyone who's a trigger word for the conservatives, like whatever you want to talk about Medicare for all, what does a conservative say? The conservatives say, but what about Venezuela? So they've cooked up a thing where long dead Hugo Chavez is responsible for, I'm going to mute these alerts while I'm on this rant, responsible for trying to rig the election in 2020 against Donald Trump, who wasn't even a significant political figure when he died. Anyway, so Dominion, the company that manufactures these machines, has sent her a cease and desist letter. Now, chat, this cease and desist letter is fucking funny. So let's go ahead and read this article and talk about it. Attorneys representing Dominion voting systems this week, warning of imminent litigation, demanded that an array of President Donald Trump's allies cease and desist from making false and defamatory claims that the company rigged or improperly influenced the 2020 presidential election. The list of individuals and entities sent such letters were long, but perhaps no letter was as scathing as the one sent to Mellissa Carone, the former Dominion contractor and self-proclaimed whistleblower whose testimony before Michigan lawmakers went viral in early December. Oh, we're about to get ready to this. We're getting to the summer. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Dominion, which supplied hardware and software for voting machines across the country, didn't pull any punches in calling out Carone for engaging in a smear campaign against the company. saying her claims about fraud were outlandish and baseless. You gained, quote, you gained international infamy earlier this month as Rudy Giuliani's so-called star witness, who could supposedly corroborate outlandish accusations that Dominion has somehow rigged or otherwise improperly influenced the outcome of the November 2020 U.S. presidential election. Without a shred of corroborating evidence, you have claimed that you witnessed several different versions of voter fraud, ranging from one story involving a van to other accusation that votes were counted multiple times. You published these statements even though you knew all along that your attacks on Dominion have no basis in reality. Carone testified before the Michigan House and Senate Oversight Committees in a stunt hearing, saying she worked a 24-hour shift providing IT support for Dominion voting machines at Detroit's TCF Center on Election Day. She also submitted an affidavit in November claiming she witnessed individual ballots being scanned multiple times. She claimed thousands of ballots were being hidden in the vans used to provide food for election workers. Everything that happened at the TCF Center was fraud, she declared before the Michigan lawmakers. Every single thing, she added. Dominion took a swipe at Carone's claims that her work for the company gave her access to any kind of special knowledge about its business processes. We write to you because you have positioned yourself as a prominent leader of the ongoing misinformation campaign by pretending to have some sort of insider knowledge regarding Dominion's business activities, when in reality, you were hired through a staffing agency for one day to clean glass on machines and complete other menial tasks. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, listen, I want to say this. Menial tasks, so-called, are very important in our society. And during COVID-19, we need people cleaning and sanitizing voting machines. That was a very important role. And I respect workers. But it's one thing when you're being asked to clean a machine to pretend that you understand how the machine operates. To pretend that you understand how voting systems operate. To pretend you understand the voting count. And to act as a whistleblower. If you're hired to go into an accounting firm to clean their toilets for one day, you don't know if that accounting firm is engaging in fraud or not. And to claim that you do is fraud. It's defamation. It's lying. The letter further demanded that Carone cease making any additional defamatory claims against Dominion and preserve all documents related to such claims, warning her that litigation regarding these issues is imminent. Relevant documents include any and all communications Carone may have made with, quote, Kraken attorney Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, Jenna Ellis, Rudy Giuliani, and other members of the Trump campaign. The lawyers also demand preservation of records for every person who has compensated Carone or any entity related to her for, quote, making public statements about Dominion. So, she must preserve without limitation all communications with any member, volunteer, staff, or employee of the Trump campaign, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Lynn Wood, and each of their partners, associates, and paralegals, every individual who assisted you in drafting or drafted for you any and all affidavits you submitted in litigation related to Dominion or the November 2020 presidential election, every individual who assisted you in drafting or drafted for you any and all prepared statements, every reporter, editor, blogger, host, or other member of the media with whom you communicated about Dominion or the 2020 presidential election, regardless of whether they published any of your claims, and every individual who has compensated you or any entity related to you in any manner for making public statements about, including submitting affidavits or declaration in litigation to Dominion or the November 2020 presidential election. So in other words, Dominion, from which this entire Mellissa Carone person is claiming legitimacy, like she actually had something to do with with Dominion's voting processes, is coming after her, and they're exposing her as being little more than a cleaning woman for the voting machines. I bet she thought that the Trump campaign lawyers would protect her, and she's about to find out that they throw people away when they are no longer useful. This is what's amazing about the Trump campaign and the Trump entities, is it doesn't matter how many times Trump discards people and throws them in the motherfucking trash. New people run up to be scammed by Trump. It's amazing. So, I want to tell you a little bit more about Mellissa. Mellissa, let's just say, is a very colorful character, okay? Mellissa is a very, very, very colorful character. Quote, I went a little crazy. Trump star witness Mellissa Carone says stripper rumors are far-fetched, but she did waitress at Hooters. Now, listen. Mellissa Carone, there are a few things that we've talked about in this place, but apparently the Sun is reporting that she used to dance at the Bada Bing Club, which has the same name as the infamous strip club featured in HBO's hit shows The Sopranos in 2010. By the way, the club was shut down after 4 men, including a manager, were arrested and charged with torturing a man in the basement, drilling through his hand with an electric drill. Carone told The Sun she had previously waitressed at Hooters, but would not confirm or deny whether or not she had ever worked as a stripper at the Bada Bing Club. I'm sorry, but that's so far-fetched. I'm not commenting on the left trying to discredit me, she said. Okay, if someone says that you were a stripper and you weren't a stripper, you say you weren't a stripper. You don't say, I refuse to confirm or deny if I was a stripper. Let's be real. You say you weren't a stripper if you weren't a stripper. Like, I'm not... Listen. Come on, man. Now, listen. I believe sex work is real work. I don't want to... I'm not trying to attack strippers or sex workers or anyone else or escorts or say they're bad people. No, they're not bad people. They're absolutely not bad people. However, conservatives think that they are. Conservatives attack them. Conservatives think they are scum. So it's very interesting that the conservatives are willing to use these people as they work their asses off to criminalize them, to attack them. And I think it's useful to point out the hypocrisy of conservatism, which is what we're doing here. We are not attacking sex work. We are not saying that being a stripper is bad. But I do think it is interesting how they're able to operate with complete and utter hypocrisy. The venue is now permanently closed, as we mentioned earlier, following a string of violent incidents, including a 2010 attack where the manager and 3 other men were arrested and charged with torturing a man in the basement, drilling through his hand with an electric drill. When pressed, Carone said she was just a kid at the time she was alleged to have been a stripper, and that she, quote, went a little crazy when she turned 18. We've all done stuff we're not happy about, she said. I grew up in a very structured family. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I wasn't even allowed to listen to music when I was a teenager. So when I got out into the world, everyone was 18 once. That's all there is to it. Hey, then why are you advocating for a world where more people are parented in the shitty-ass way you were parented? You're just saying, well, I went wild because I wasn't allowed to explore my adulthood or my adolescence when I was a teenager from my overly controlling home. But now I'm going to campaign for the people who want to do that to more people. So much conservatism is rooted in trauma. Oh, yes, absolutely. Hey, Paulie, get the drill. Hey, Paulie. If that's who I am today, then it would be different. Maybe I wouldn't be credible, she continued. But I have a family. I have children who, quote, go to private schools. The racism, the classism, the insecurity rolls off this woman, excuse me, just like it does every other conservative. Every other conservative is just like this, chat. Rep. Steve Johnson questioned Carone on the thousands of votes that were allegedly counted multiple times, noting, "We're not seeing the poll book off by 30,000 votes. What did you guys do?" Carone snapped back. Take it and do something crazy to it? She also insisted there were 0 registered voters in the poll book, a question about the turnout rate being 120%. Giuliani then leaned over and gently shushed her. Carone mocked Johnson's questions, urging the Republican politician to take a look again at the numbers she claimed dead people and illegals voted in the election. I have an affidavit. I am a mother. I have 2 children. I have 2 degrees. I don't know any woman in the world who would write an affidavit under oath just to write it. You can go to prison for this. Now, previously when we talked about Carone, we realized that she had actually been convicted of committing fraud online. So this woman, who is the star witness of the Trump administration, had just come off probation for lying and committing fraud online. Do you guys want to know what her crime was? Carone was previously charged under the name Mellissa Wright with first-degree obscenity and using a computer to commit a crime after she sent pornographic videos to her fiance's ex-wife and framed the woman for stealing them. So in other words, she tried to get a woman arrested for, quote, stealing pornographic videos, her fiance's ex-wife, and got caught lying about that woman. Under a plea agreement, she reduced her charge of disorderly conduct and received 12 months of probation, a spokeswoman for the Wayne County, Michigan prosecutor's office said. Carone's probation ended on September 13th, just a few weeks before Election Day, when a temporary staffing agency employed Carone to assist Dominion Voting Systems as an IT contractor in Detroit. This is not about my fiance's ex-wife that's upset about receiving a video, which I will say I did not send to her, Carone told The Sun this morning. I will not divert the attention onto myself and away from what this is truly about. McLeod, thanks for the prime. Welcome back, buddy. Long time no see. And at the end of the day, we have a proven fraudster as the heart of Republican claims about voter fraud. A Republican fraudster who, wow, let's just say her credibility is not very strong. If she were anyone else, they'd get 25 years to life. You know what they did, Aya's Kit Kat? And we'll close this topic now, and we could chat. But woman in Texas sentenced to prison for voting. I just typoed again. Ugh. Texas upholds sentence for a woman who didn't know she was ineligible to vote. Crystal Mason was previously sentenced to 5 years in prison for a mistaken vote that was not counted. This woman was on probation. And while she was on probation, she registered to vote and tried to vote in Texas. But because she was still on probation, she wasn't permitted to do so. So in Texas, they charged her with a crime and sentenced her to 5 years in prison for individually trying to exercise her right to vote. And they upheld that charge. 5 years. Not to fake somebody else's vote, but to try to vote for herself. And she didn't realize she wasn't allowed to do that in Texas while on probation. But she's black. Let's just say it. Let's be clear. She was black. So they want to scare black people, especially formerly incarcerated black people, from ever getting anywhere near the ballot box. That's the goal. That's America.